Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadi Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Good morning, everyone. This is our Zoom keynote presentation for May 18th. And our first topic is Introduction to Hinduism from the April 2009 Hinduism Today. Subtitle is Our Publisher, meaning me, offers a basic summary that you can proudly present to gatherings in your community. So this is material that anyone could use to give a talk on Hinduism to a group that doesn't know that much about it. Part 1. First section is entitled Introduction. And a story. Hindus in the West are sometimes invited to give a talk explaining their religion at a local college, schoolroom, interfaith group, or even a Christian church. Some have confided to me that they do not feel qualified to give such a presentation. There is clearly a need for an authentic, non-academic introduction to Hinduism that can be presented with confidence on such occasions. So that's the background. I prepared this publisher's desk, drawn from our book, What is Hinduism, as a broad summary of our faith that can be drawn upon to properly educate others in the basics of Hinduism, minus all the misconceptions and myths. And this is the URL. If you ask Google, what is Hinduism, as of June 2019, you will get some 294 million results. Many are from outsiders offering their best take. Many are from antagonists taking their best shot. Too few are knowledgeable. Fewer still are authentic. Rare is the answer that goes beyond parochial sectarian understandings. Scarcely any encompasses the huge gamut implied in the question. What is Hinduism, of course, is the question. For these reasons alone, this introduction to Hinduism was inevitable. Hinduism Today founder Gurudeva well understood the challenges that all religions face in today's world, whether from outside or within. He wrote that every religion consists of the spiritual precepts, practices, and customs of a group of people or society, transmitted from generation to generation, that maintain the connection with higher realms of consciousness, thus connecting man to God and keeping alive the highest ideals of culture and tradition. Gurudeva observed that if this transmission misses even one generation, a religion can be lost for all time, left to decay in the dusty libraries of history, anthropology, and archaeology. He strove to protect the religion he loved so dearly. He would ask rhetorically, where are the once prominent religions of the Babylonians, Egyptians, Aztecs, Mayans, American Indians, or Hawaiians? Little remains of them. Not long ago, it was feared by some and hoped by many that Hinduism, the religion of 1 billion people, 1/6 of the human race living mostly in India, would meet the same fate. That it survived a history of religious conquest and extermination that wiped out virtually every other ancient religion is exceptional. Ironically, this noble faith, having withstood the ravages of invasion, plunder, and brutal domination by foreign invaders for over 1,000 years, stumbled into the 20th century to meet the subtler forces of secularism and the temptations of materialism. Christian propaganda, fabricated by 16th century Jesuit missionaries, empowered by the 19th century British Raj, and carried forward today by the Western and Indian media, had dealt heavy blows over the centuries to the subjugated, prideless Hindu society. Typical Christian tactic was to demean the indigenous faith, impeaching it as rife with superstition, idolatry, antiquated values, archaic customs, and umpteen false gods. Indians' communist secular media stressed caste abuse and wretched social ills, branding as radical, communal, and fundamentalist all efforts to stand strong for anything Hindu. But an unexpected Hindu resurgence has burst forth across the globe in the last 20 years, driven in part by the Hindu diaspora and in part by India's newfound pride and influence. Hinduism entered the 21st century with fervent force as recent generations discovered its treasures and its relevance to their times. Hinduism is going digital, working on its faults and bolstering its strengths. Leaders are stepping forth. Parents are striving for ways to convey to their children the best of their faith to help them do better in school and live a fruitful life. Temples are coming up across the earth by the thousands. Communities are celebrating Hindu festivals, parading their deities in the streets of Paris, Berlin, Toronto, and Sydney in grand style without worrying that people might think them odd or pagan. Yoga is being universally practiced in all faith communities. Eloquent spokesmen are now representing Hinduism's billion followers at international peace conferences, interfaith gatherings, and discussions about Hindu rights. Hindu students in high schools and universities are going back to their traditions, turning to the gods in the temples, not because their parents say they should, but to satisfy their own inner need, to improve their daily life, to fulfill their soul's call. When it comes time to explain our religion in any of these settings, we offer the following. Next section, many faiths under one name. And that's the question to you. What does it mean to say many faiths under one name? A major reason why those new to Hinduism find it difficult to understand its diversity is that Hinduism is not a monolithic tradition. There isn't a one Hindu opinion on things, and there is no single spiritual authority to define matters for the faith. There are several different denominations, the four largest being Shaivism, Shaktism, Vaishnavism, and Smartism. Further, there are numerous schools of thought or sampradayas expressed in tens of thousands of guru lineages or paramparas. Each is typically dependent and self-contained in its authority. Each is typically independent and self-contained in its authority. In a very real sense, this grand tradition can be defined and understood as 10,000 faiths gathered in harmony under a single umbrella called Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma. Do you like my umbrella? It's the nicest one I could find. The tendency to overlook this diversity is the common first step to a faulty perception of the religion. Overlooking the diversity. Most spiritual traditions are simpler, more unified, and unambiguous. All too often, despite its antiquity, its profound systems of thought, the beauty of its art and architecture, and the grace of its people, Hinduism remains a mystery. Twisted stereotypes abound that would relegate this richly complex, sophisticated, and spiritually rewarding tradition to little more than crude caricatures of snake charmers, cow worshippers, and yogis lying on beds of nails. That's a good sentence. Fortunately, there is an easier, more natural way to approach the vastness of Hinduism. From the countless living gurus, teachers, and pundits who offer clear guidance, most seekers choose a preceptor. Study his teachings, embrace the sampradaya he propounds, and adopt the precepts and disciplines of his tradition. That is how the faith is followed in actual practice. Holy men and women, counted in the hundreds of thousands, are the ministers, the defenders of the faith, and the inspirers of the faithful. Next section, 4 basic principles. What do you think are the 4 basic principles that Gurudeva puts forth for Hinduism? It's in a number of his writings. One way to gain a simple, though admittedly simplistic, overview is to understand the 4 essential beliefs shared by the vast majority of Hindus: karma, reincarnation, all-pervasive divinity, and dharma. We could say that living by these 4 principles is what makes a person a Hindu. So we'll go through that list again. Karma, reincarnation, all-pervasive divinity, and dharma. First basic principle is karma. Karma literally means deed or act, and more broadly names the universal principle of cause and effect, action and reaction, which governs all life. Karma is a natural law of the mind, just as gravity is a law of matter. Karma is not fate, for man acts with free will, creating his own destiny. The Vedas tell us, if we sow goodness, we will reap goodness. If we sow evil, we will reap evil. Very simple. Karma refers to the totality of our actions and the concomitant reactions in this and previous lives, all of which determines our future. It is the interplay between our experience and how we respond to it that makes karma devastating or helpfully invigorating. The conquest of karma lies in intelligent action and dispassionate reaction. Good summary. Not all karmas rebound immediately. Some accumulate and return unexpectedly in this or other birth. The Vedas explain, according as one acts, so does he become. One becomes virtuous by virtuous action, bad by bad action. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Second basic principle is reincarnation. Reincarnation, punarjanma, is the natural process of birth, death, and rebirth. At death, we drop off the physical body and continue evolving in the inner worlds in our subtle bodies till we again enter into birth. Through the ages, reincarnation has been the great consoling element within Hinduism, eliminating the fear of death. We are not the body in which we live, but the immortal soul which inhabits many bodies in its evolutionary journey through samsara. After death, we continue to exist in unseen worlds, enjoying or suffering the harvest of earthly deeds, till it comes time for yet another physical birth. The actions set in motion in previous lives form the tendencies and conditions of the next. That's a good one to stress. The actions set in motion in previous lives form the tendencies and conditions of the next. So we carry forward. Reincarnation ceases when karma is resolved, God is realized, and moksha, liberation, is attained. So even if God's realized, we have to resolve all our karma. Veda state. After death, the soul goes to the next world, bearing in mind the subtle impressions of its deeds, and after reaping their harvest, returns again to the world of action. Thus he who has desires continues subject to rebirth. Again, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Third basic principle is all-pervasive divinity. Yoga Swami liked to stress that. I am everywhere, you are everywhere, but you don't believe it. That's what he would say. As a family of faith, Hinduism upholds a wide array of perspectives on the divine, yet all worship the one all-pervasive Supreme Being hailed in the Upanishads. As absolute reality, God is unmanifest, unchanging and transcendent, the self-God. Timeless, formless, and spaceless. As pure consciousness, God is the manifest primal substance, pure love, and light flowing through all form. Existing everywhere in time and space as infinite intelligence and power. As primal soul, God is our personal Lord, source of all three worlds, our Father, Mother, God. Who protects, nurtures, and guides us. We beseech God's grace in our lives, while also knowing that He, she is the essence of our soul, the life of our life. So that's monistic theism. So beseeching the grace is theism. Knowing that He, she is the essence of our soul, that's monism. Each denomination also venerates its own particular pantheon of deities, Mahadevas, or great angels known as gods, who were created by the Supreme Lord and who serve and adore Him. Vedas proclaim, He is the God of forms, infinite, and whose glory all things are, smaller than the smallest, and yet the creator of all. Ever living in the mystery of His creation, in the vision of this God of love, there is everlasting peace. He is the Lord of all, who, hidden in the heart of things, watches over the world of time. Shvetasvatara Upanishad. Fourth basic principle is Dharma. When God created the universe, He endowed it with order, with the laws to govern creation. Dharma is God's divine law, prevailing on every level of existence, from the sustaining cosmic order to religious and moral laws, which bind us in harmony with that order. In relation to the soul, Dharma is the mode of conduct most conducive to spiritual advancement, the right and righteous path. It is piety and ethical practice, duty and obligation. When we follow Dharma, we are in conformity with the truth that inheres and instructs the universe, and we naturally abide in closeness to God. Adharma is opposition to divine law. Dharma is to the individual what its normal development is to a seed, the orderly fulfillment of an inherent nature and destiny. The orderly fulfillment of an inherent nature and destiny. Tirukkural reminds us, Dharma yields heaven's honor and earth's wealth. What is there then that is more fruitful for a man? Good question. There is nothing more rewarding than Dharma, nor anything more ruinous than its neglect. That's our first topic there. We're moving on to the second topic, our character building workbook. We're still in the R's. Remorse is the 44th character quality. He looks very remorseful there. How would you define remorse? The workbook gives this definition. Remorse is mental distress arising from regret for a past misdeed. I strengthen it by always apologizing when I misbehave or hurt others, even inadvertently, with my words or actions. The opposite is impenitence, not being penitent or remorseful. Hri, the first of the 10 niyamas or practices, is remorse. Being modest and showing shame for misdeeds, seeking the Guru's grace to be released from sorrows through the understanding that he gives based on the ancient Sampradaya doctrinal lineage he preaches. Often people think that showing shame and modesty and remorse for misdeeds is simply hanging your head. Well, really, anyone can do that, but it's not genuine if the head is not pulled down by the tightening of the strings of the heart. If shame is not felt so deeply that one cannot look another in the eye. When the hanging of the head is genuine, everyone will know it and seek to lift you up out of the predicament. Reflection. Take a moment to identify a few ways in which you could improve in remorse. Third topic, Yoga Swami's words of our master. Bliss, bliss, nothing but bliss. I am here, I am there, I am everywhere. So that's one of my few Tamil sentences. Anandam, 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 ingum, angum, engum, nan. And another quote that says the same. Declare that we are everything. So we're everywhere and we are everything. What do these two quotes mean to you? My take is, Yoga Swami is reminding us of the truth that we are everywhere and everything. I call this Shiva's point of view. Shiva is always holding this consciousness of being everywhere and everything, but we can hold it some of the time, and we lose it. But it is there to be accessed. Who has improved the world? People have improved themselves and then gone. What does that mean to you? My thought, often the world responds to our efforts to improve it by acting like the dog's tail. You straighten it and it quickly resumes the curl it was in before. This doesn't mean we should not care about the world, but be realistic in what we can do to actually improve it. The important focus, as Yoga Swami says, is on improving is on improving oneself. Oh, thank you very much. Om. Thank you, Rooster. Om.